Perhaps right now, as you are listening to these words, your heart is carrying the heavy rhythm of exhaustion, an indescribable sense of being unanchored, as if you have been standing before a tightly closed door for so long that even though you have knocked until your hands are bruised and raw, the only sound echoing back is a chilling, absolute silence. You are carrying a silent battle within yourself that no one else knows about. Enduring sleepless nights filled with thousands of unanswered questions, unfinished plans, and deep-seated wounds you have tried so hard to bury beneath the facade of someone who always appears calm and relentlessly strong. How many times have you collapsed onto your bed, utterly drained, wondering why you have poured out every ounce of your energy, tried to do everything right, lived with kindness, and continuously pushed forward, only to be met with nothing but an empty, echoing void? It feels as though you are trapped inside a maze where fragile rays of hope occasionally flicker only to abruptly extinguish, leaving you grasping at stolen expectations, quietly watching as opportunities seem to constantly smile at everyone else while passing you by completely unnoticed. This profound exhaustion is not just draining your physical body, it is silently eroding your mind, making you slowly begin to doubt your own inherent worth, forcing you to ask whether you have taken the wrong path entirely. Or worse, whether you are simply not deserving enough to attain the peace you so desperately crave. But you need to know that your decision to pause in this exact moment, choosing to tune into this specific voice amidst the deafening noise of the outside world, is absolutely not a random coincidence, but rather a direct call from your own inner self that is deeply yearning for release and true healing. Today, right here in this safe space, we are not going to talk about hollow theories or force you to swallow toxic positivity and pretend to be optimistic when your soul is practically shattering. But instead, we are going to face this together to peel back the layers of a much more profound truth. There is a secret about these closed doors, an unspoken law of pain and healing that, once you truly touch it, will shatter all the invisible barriers that have been holding your mind hostage for so long. I want you to allow yourself to linger here. Drop the tension from your shoulders, and walk with me all the way to the very end of this journey. Because what you are about to discover is not merely a comforting word, but the very key of destiny that will help you understand exactly why life has forced you into this grueling season of waiting. Do not rush to walk away when the darkness seems to be completely closing in. Because the moment you recognize the true meaning hidden behind the rejections in your career or your relationships, you will finally see that every ounce of pain, every overwhelming dead end you are carrying, is not a punishment at all, but rather a quiet, magnificent stepping stone setting the stage for a spectacular breakthrough that is just about to unfold. Close your eyes for just a moment and take a truly honest look at the doors, standing firmly shut right before your eyes right now. Those invisible barriers that carry the crushing weight of an entire mountain pressing down on your every breath. Day after day, it could be a career opportunity you have desired with a burning passion, a project you have traded for countless sleepless nights, sweat, and tears, a relationship you have nurtured with absolute sincerity, or simply a dream of a peaceful life, free from the exhausting calculations of daily survival. You have knocked, you have waited patiently, you have done everything exactly as people always advise: work relentlessly, hold on to your faith, live with kindness, and good things will come. But the harsh reality has only handed you back a bone-chilling silence. An unspoken rejection that slowly erodes every last bit of the resilient defensive shield you have tried so hard to build. There are days when you wake up feeling utterly empty, looking in the mirror to see eyes entirely drained of hope, wondering where the ghost of that once passionate person has hidden within the dark corners of despair. This feeling of being stuck is not like a storm that rolls in and passes by, it is like a thick, heavy fog swallowing every sense of direction, making it so that the more you struggle, the deeper you sink into the quicksand of self-doubt. How many times have you had to bite your lip, swallow back bitter tears, and put on a forced smile to step out into the world, continuing to play the role of a steadfast, mature adult, a pillar of support that is never allowed to crumble in front of family or colleagues? The ultimate loneliness is not when you are by yourself, but when you are standing in a sea of noisy crowds, amidst the applause celebrating the success of everyone around you, while inside, there is only a desolate, freezing void, a fierce battle you are bleeding through completely alone. without a single soul who can truly understand or share the burden. You begin to compare your shattered pieces with the picture-perfect lives of others, wondering if the universe is playing a cruel joke on you. If you have been left behind in the race of life, permanently cast as an outsider, denied the privileges of happiness. The exhaustion at this point has far surpassed the boundaries of the physical body. It is a depletion of the soul. The silent scream of a heart that has been bruised one too many times by betrayed expectations. But I need you to pause for just one beat right here at the very edge of surrender. Because there is a profound truth that the darkness of your stagnation is deliberately trying to hide from you. Have you ever asked yourself if today's cruel rejection, the door slamming shut right in your face just when you yearn to enter the most, is not actually a punishment, but rather the ultimate form of protection? We often view a closed door as a dead end, a denial of our self-worth. But deep psychological healing and the miraculous laws of life reveal a completely different perspective. Sometimes, you are kept outside because that room is not yet safe for you, or because you were born to walk through a much grander gate that you haven't even dared to dream of yet. Try to travel back in time and remember those moments you cried until you had no tears left over, missing out on something in the past, only to look back years later and realize, with a sudden shiver, that not getting it was actually the greatest blessing of your life. The current barrier you are facing, no matter how bitter and agonizing, is not a prison wall, but a rigorous forge tearing down and rebuilding your entire system of thought, your resilience, and your inner maturity. The universe doesn't hand you what you want immediately because you do not yet have the strength to hold it. If glory arrives when your shoulders are still too frail and your mind is still riddled with the holes of fear and insecurity, that very gift will become the thing that destroys you. This endless waiting, this terrifyingly quiet season, is precisely the waiting room of the soul, where all impurities, all impulsive desires, and all reliance on the external world are completely stripped away, forcing you to return and face the truest, most bare version of yourself. The stagnation did not come to destroy you, it came to purify you. To remind you that while you cannot control the doors on the outside, you hold the ultimate master key to unlock the doors within, the place that houses infinite power, self-healing, and an unbreakable faith that no external circumstance can ever shatter. Therefore, even when your legs are giving out, even when you feel you don't have enough strength to knock even one more time, I want you to understand that the silence of right now is simply the silence just before the storm of your breakthrough hits. Those seemingly impenetrable gates of bronze and bars of iron are quietly fracturing from the inside out, broken by the very power of the patience and courage you are maintaining every single day. You have not been forgotten, you are being prepared. You are not moving backward, you are simply taking a step back to gain momentum for a leap that will surpass every limitation you have ever known. Hold tightly onto this breath, because the darkness is always at its absolute thickest right before the dawn breaks. And we are so very, very close to the moment when all your waiting will be rewarded with the most brilliant, blinding light. And then, at the exact moment when you thought every last ray of hope had been completely extinguished, when your hands hung heavy at your sides, your shoulders slumped, and you closed your eyes, deciding to accept the cruel arrangement of fate, that is precisely when the true miracle begins to beat its rhythm. It doesn't appear as a blinding lightning bolt tearing across the sky or a loud, grandiose event that shakes the entire world, but rather it arrives with an astonishing stillness, a soft click, breaking open from the deepest recesses of your consciousness. Exactly like the cracking of a 1,000-year-old glacier finally beginning to melt beneath the first warm ray of spring sunlight. You suddenly notice a tiny detail, a seemingly inconsequential moment that you had unintentionally overlooked during your previous panic and despair. A puzzle piece you once thought was meaningless but is now glowing brilliantly, snapping perfectly and astonishingly into place within the grand masterpiece that the universe has been quietly and painstakingly painting just for your life. In a single blink of an eye, all the disjointed events of the past, the people who casually walked through your life, the bitter, shattering failures, and even those freezing doors that slammed shut right in your face yesterday, are all suddenly strung together into an overwhelmingly logical timeline, creating an unstoppable, cascading domino effect. You are struck with the awe-inspiring realization that the person who walked away didn't leave because you were deeply flawed or not good enough. but to clear the path for a much more profound, genuine soul connection that is about to arrive. That the job or opportunity you were so ruthlessly denied was not a rejection of your capability, but the exact, grueling leverage required to launch you out of your cramped comfort zone, forcing you to step onto a far more expansive stage where your true potential finally has the space to shine at its absolute brightest. Every fragmented piece of doubt, every lingering fear suddenly rearranges itself, not to form a prison wall to hold you captive as you once mistakenly believed, but to pave a solid, unshakable road leading straight toward an entirely new horizon where all the boundaries of your self-doubt are permanently shattered. Your heartbeat begins to race, pounding with a fierce intensity, not from the usual, lingering anxiety, but from the surging tide of an unprecedented, pure vitality coursing through your veins, awakening the immensely powerful warrior that has been sleeping soundly inside you for so long. And in that exact second when this glorious truth bursts open, the very door that was once an endless obsession, the freezing wall of iron and bronze that once trapped you in ultimate stagnation, suddenly swings wide open all on its own, without requiring you to expend even a single ounce of your depleted strength. Light floods in, a soothing, warm, and blinding light that sweeps away every last remnant of darkness, of suspicion, and of utter exhaustion, carrying with it the breath of absolute freedom, of liberation, and of a steadfast faith that absolutely no storm can ever shake. You stand there, right at the intersection of a deeply wounded past and a wide open, boundless future, and tears fall once again. But this time they are the warm tears of immense gratitude, of epiphany, and of a profound empathy for the very journey you have so resiliently survived. You realize that you were never being punished. You were being forged. Your gritted teeth patience through the suffocating darkness has finally been rewarded with a prize that far exceeds your initial narrow imagination. This breakthrough doesn't merely change your external circumstances or hand you new opportunities. It has entirely resurrected your soul, turning the invisible, overlapping scars in your spirit, the places that once bled from trauma and rejection, into radiant metals, proving your fiercely resilient instinct to survive. You hear a voice from deep within, a voice that was once weak and trembling amidst the storms, now becoming resonant, grounded, and overflowing with authority, reaffirming your true, rightful place in this world. It assures you that those years spent with your face buried in the dark were never a futile waste of time, but a quiet, magnificent period of incubation, much like a tiny seed that must endure the massive, crushing pressure of the deep earth, surviving the agonizing rupture of its rigid shell just so it can sprout and reach its first strong leaves up to catch the sun. As those final psychological barriers collapse, you suddenly realize that the world around you is also beginning to shift onto an entirely new frequency. Opportunities that were once hidden now automatically manifest right before your eyes. And people carrying the exact right energy of positivity and grace start walking into your life so naturally, as if the universe is generously rearranging the entire cosmic order just to hand you the very things you most deserve. Every burden is lifted, every chain shatters into dust, and in the sacred space of that awakening moment, you take a deep breath, feeling the pure, crisp air of a new beginning swelling in your chest, smiling as you welcome the most authentic, free, and peaceful version of yourself stepping right out of the ashes, completely ready to spread your wings and soar into the vast, open expanse of infinite possibilities waiting just for you. When the storm of the breakthrough has finally passed and the last fortified walls have completely collapsed into dust, this is the time we step into a sacred, quiet space to truly survey the ruins of the past, much like a person cautiously stepping onto the scene of their own deepest traumas to trace the evidence and peel back the true roots of all their pain. You see, the human psyche is an incredibly complex labyrinth, where the most cruel sentences sometimes do not come from the outside world at all, but are instead pronounced by the harsh judge presiding right inside our own minds, the one constantly whispering in your ear that you are not good enough, that you haven't tried hard enough, or that you are simply not worthy of receiving a complete and unconditional love. Throughout all those years sinking deep into the abyss of stagnation, we unintentionally became both the victim and the accomplice in our own imprisonment, tying ourselves to the borrowed expectations of others and allowing societal prejudices to silently corrode our original, inherent self-esteem. But now, as the brilliant, Warm light of empathy has illuminated even the most hidden and terrifying dark corners. You begin to decode the psychological mysteries behind your own survival responses. Realizing that your past defensiveness, your tendency to retreat into your shell, or your frantic, desperate grasping at a violently slammed door were essentially just the silent cries for help from a vulnerable, wounded part inside you that desperately craved validation and safety. The process of true healing is never about trying to deny your scars or pretending those tragedies never happened. Rather, it is the ultimate, breathtaking courage to strip away every single layer of your defensive masks. Look straight into the eyes of your fear, and gently tell it that you are now firmly grounded and strong enough to hold your own broken pieces. This profound understanding acts like a cool, refreshing stream washing away all lingering resentment, allowing you to forgive not only the cruel circumstances that pushed you to the brink, but most importantly, to deeply forgive your own naive, reckless, and anxiety-ridden past self. The deeper you venture into this thorny journey of inner decoding, the more astonished you are to discover the beautiful, undeniable truth that, beneath the heavy layers of trauma and that prolonged period of agonizing silence, there has always existed a powerful, resonant sound, an original voice as precious as pure gold that has never once been tainted or distorted by any judgment of the world. That voice patiently waited for you to navigate through every brutal up and down, to taste every bitter hardship, so that it could finally rise now on the vibrating frequencies of absolute peace, weaving all the tragedies and hidden complexities of your past into an inspiring narrative that holds an intensely redemptive power. The core lesson the universe wants to permanently engrave into your soul after this entire turbulent chain of events is the ultimate affirmation of the unparalleled power of self-compassion, that your worth has never been, and will absolutely never be, determined by the sheer number of doors that happen to open or close before your eyes, but is instead firmly anchored in exactly how you stand tall from the ashes, picking up your own shattered fragments with your own two hands and patiently mending them back together with the glue of the purest, most profound acceptance. From this exact moment forward, you are no longer a fugitive running from the dark or a passive victim of your circumstances, but you have officially stepped up to the podium to become the grand storyteller of your own magnificent life, carrying within your heart the inextinguishable flame of profound wisdom, ready to radiate such a deeply healing energy that anyone lucky enough to enter your orbit will inevitably be past the flame of hope to shatter their very own barriers. And now, as we have arrived together at the final, quiet moments of this deeply profound journey, the fact that you are still present here, still relaxing your mind to fully absorb every single one of these words, is absolutely not a coincidence, but rather a brilliant testament that your soul is truly ready for a magnificent transition. You have traveled such a long road, tasting enough tearing agony and exhaustion to now fully comprehend the sacred secret we mentioned in those very first minutes, that the cruelly closed doors of yesterday were never a sentence denying your worth, but were in fact the absolute protection of the universe, the invisible hand firmly pushing you away from mediocrity to guide you straight toward the one and only gate that truly belongs to you, a haven of peace, far more radiant and fulfilling than any desire you could have ever imagined. Please, wrap your arms around yourself in this moment and genuinely acknowledge the extraordinary resilience you have steadfastly maintained through those dark nights that seemed as though they would never end. But before you gently step out of this safe space to return to the rushing pace of the world out there, I want to invite you to perform a highly symbolic action, a small ritual to nail this truth deep into your subconscious and fully activate the frequency of your healing. Scroll down to the comments section, not to write a soulless sentence, but to lay down your most powerful psychological declaration right now. Right. I release the burden of the closed doors and completely open my heart to receive the magnificent breakthrough of my life. As you type these words with your own hands, close your eyes and feel as though you are officially removing the final brick of the wall of stagnation, releasing all stagnant energy and boldly declaring to the world that you have finished playing the role of a victim to step up as the ultimate creator of your own destiny. If the sounds and rhythms of this profound empathy have truly touched a small corner of your heart that needed to be soothed, please hit that subscribe button so that we can continue to hold hands and walk through the next deep healing journeys together. And please do not hesitate to share this video with someone you know is also standing in despair before a tightly closed door. Because your act of sharing today could very well be the only guiding light leading them out of their darkness. Thank you for being so incredibly brave in facing your own broken pieces. I wish you a path ahead overflowing with clarity, proud self-worth, and the most miraculous doors simultaneously bursting open to welcome your confident, triumphant strides.